The UFC Apex, a saviour of the sport in a very dark time where fans at home had nothing to watch. We were all locked inside our houses and there was nothing to watch on TV, no live sporting events, and all of a sudden along comes Fight Island, along comes the UFC Apex and saves the sports that we love, MMA, under the biggest fight promotion in the world, the UFC, and all of a sudden we're watching fighters on Fight Island in the Apex compete with no crowd whatsoever, and we can hear everything. It's an amazing time. It was a saviour of our sport during that time period. However, it's now destroying it, in my opinion, and will destroy it moving forward, and has kind of ruined the idea of what the UFC is, along with other things as well that I'm going to get into in this video. But let's start straight away. I loved the idea of the Apex, okay? Complete silence. Absolute silence. You can hear the fighters bouncing on the canvas. You can hear the shots land. It made KOs so much better. There was a smaller octagon as well, which made the fights way more entertaining during a time where we desperately needed entertainment. You could hear the fighters breathing. You could hear the fighters talking. Dare I say, we wouldn't have bigger names as we do now, like Sean Strickland and Kevin Holland, if not for the Apex. Dare I say, because their star power truly began during that Apex era where we could hear what they were saying. Sean Strickland talking to Jack Marshman after beating Brendan Allen. He's screaming "fuck you" at Brendan Allen as he KOs him. That was a big viral moment online as well. We had a lot of moments like where Vettori let out that scream and that made him a bit of a star. That went viral online as well and sort of added to his rise up the middleweight division. Kevin Holland as well, of course. Who knows how much genius we would have missed from the mouth of Kevin Holland if we didn't have the UFC Apex. We would have heard nothing from him if there was a live crowd going wild at everything that was going on in the fight. I loved it. Hear the fighters talking, hear them breathing, the KOs were more brutal, you could hear the corner advice, you could hear the canvas. But now it's ruining the sport. I really did agree with it, but now I think it's time to move on from the Apex. Keep it around in case anything like this happens in the future, or in case you want to do like a smaller card once every couple of months or something like that. But since we've been doing these Apex cards more and more regularly, the UFC's been slacking. And I think the Apex is the reason for that. You want to know why? When they are going to these live crowds, and I do understand that maybe now it's harder to get big arenas to take you as an event. I completely understand. A lot of people have been held back from touring for a very long time. They're going to be booking out all of the arenas they possibly can to make up for the money that they lost during their time off of not being able to perform without a crowd. However, we need to move on from the Apex immediately. I'm looking at some of these live events that we're doing in London. I believe they're going to Texas soon. I don't know whereabouts in Texas, but that's an amazingly stacked card. They've got another card coming up, I do believe, not too long down the line in July somewhere. That's a really good stacked card. It's going to have an amazing amount of fights on there. They're going to have a real live arena again. All of the pay-per-views that they're doing are going to have massively stacked cards because they know there's going to be a live arena. In my opinion, since not having to fill out an arena, the UFC has taken their foot off the pedal a little bit, man. They're getting paid by ESPN, so they're sorted anyway as a company. It's not like they were an individual company, so where they actually had to succeed, because if they started to fail, then they would start to do really, really badly as a company. So there would be that burden on them to sort of want to succeed as a company. Now they're kind of owned by ESPN and Endeavor and Disney and all of that. They've taken their foot off the pedal. They're getting paid by ESPN. They don't have to worry anymore. All of the employees there, I don't see the same energy in the eyes of Dana White anymore, in all honesty. He wanted to save the sport during our very bad time around the world. I don't want to mention any keywords in case I get demonetized or anything like that. But either way, Dana White had passion in his eyes. He wanted to save the sport in a very dark time. I've got crumbs in my beard from a sandwich. I'm so professional. Okay? He wanted to save the sport in a very dark time. He wanted to build the sport that he had put his money into and make it succeed. But now, the UFC Apex, having a crowd to fill out an arena is a big burden. You need to sell out an arena if you're booking that arena out. That's how you make a profit. You can't half sell out an arena and just say, well, you know, we sold half an arena out. No. If you're a big company like the UFC, you need to sell out the arena because you're putting so much money into booking that arena that you need to make sure you get some kind of profit back. And in my opinion, that lingering burden and responsibility to sell out an arena made cards so much better. And now that we're at the Apex, and there's no crowd really, other than the family and friends of the fighters, a couple of people here and there that are allowed in if they're a big enough celebrity, and things along those lines. Now there's no obligation to make a good card. You don't have to sell out an arena anymore. So put a main event on. People will tune in on the weekends on ESPN Plus or Fight Pass or BT Sport, whatever they're going to watch it on. And then just make whatever card you want underneath it, it feels like nowadays. I'm looking at the Holm versus Vieira card, and I'm sickened by it, man. We have got 2 weeks off after the card this weekend, and normally when that happens, you would expect the UFC to put on an amazing fight card, have the week off, and then put on an amazing fight card to come back to. But because of the UFC Apex, they don't have to worry about selling out an arena. And because they don't have to worry about selling out an arena, they don't have to give a shit about what kind of cards they put on. They've got their fan base, they're being paid by ESPN, they simply don't care anymore. They're doing the bare minimum to get by, knowing that in general the sport will grow as it goes on, because that's just the trend of an early sport into the scene. I think it's the best sport in the world, and naturally it will grow with or without big names in the company. That's why fighters typically don't get paid as much, because it's the UFC. They're the sport. People are going to tune in. It's a cage fight under the biggest promotion in a very professional setting. People are going to want to tune into that. But I'm looking at the card this weekend. Holm versus Vieira. Decent fight. Ponzinibbio versus Pereira. Decent fight. What else is on that card? Contender series guys. People coming off losses. People ranked outside the top 30 and 40 of their divisions. Chidi Njokuani versus Dusko Todorovic is a feature fight of a fight night card. Now, I may understand that there are more fights per year because of this. But come on, man. This is the problem now. They are so focused on selling out arenas at UFC London, and even on that Texas card that's coming up soon as well, and even at like the Adesanya card, and I'll get to that in another video this week, that they don't care about these other cards. There are fights on the early prelims of the Adesanya versus Cannonier card that could be a co-main event of some of these fight nights. But they don't care. There's no arena to sell out, because in all honesty, if they put on that Holm versus Vieira card in a big arena, it is not selling out. I know that for a fact. No one cares about them. People don't really know of the co-main event as much as hardcore fans do. If they were in a random town or city in America and they tried to sell out an arena for that fight night card, it would not sell out because it simply doesn't have the name value. But because they're at the Apex, they don't care. Vieira versus Richie, wow, they're hot. Joseph Holmes, Alan Amadovsky, Eric Anders, Yun Yong Park, Parker Porter, Jailton Almeida. As a hardcore fan, I'm somewhat intrigued by these matchups. But what substance is on these cards? And then we go in a couple of weeks' time to Volkov versus Rosenstruik, co-main event Dan Ige versus Movsar Evloev. There's nothing else official for the main card of that fight card. The next best fight on that card is genuinely Erin Blanchfield versus JJ Aldridge. I'm not over-exaggerating that. Jeff Molina versus Zalgas Zamagulov. I'm interested by these. But these are not big names. These are not big matchups. Put a decent main event on, an okay co-main event, and leave the rest of the card for the contender series bums and losers of other fights to go on. It's kind of annoying me, man. And it's ruining the sport moving forward. It really is. And you know why it's ruining the sport even more? You've got a lot of fighters right now. We need to return as quick as we can to getting fight nights in arenas every single weekend. That might be a slow process, but I think the UFC are kind of comfortable with the Apex. And they've said those words themselves. We love the Apex because of how comfortable it is. It must be comfortable not having to put on good cards because you don't have to sell out an arena. And I'll be honest, it's lost its buzz. It really has lost its buzz, the Apex. I used to enjoy it because it was silence. Now we've got a crowd in, and not a crowd, a very small crowd of people. And that's worse than no crowd or a big crowd. A big crowd creates one sound. They boo, they chant, someone makes the woo, woo, they do that now and again in a boring fight. They cheer all at once. They gasp all at once. It's a unison of a massive arena of people. When you bring in this tiny, small crowd, I'm hearing people saying individual conversations to each other in the background. So the Apex, which its only redeeming quality was because it was silent, is now filled with like, yeah, kick him. Yeah, punch him, Rackage. Go Jan. And I'm hearing these fucking squeakers in the background saying individual statements. Like, I feel like I'm playing the game and you can hear people in the crowd screaming stuff, you know? In the game, they started adding that stuff. It just kind of got annoying. Like, the whole nice thing about the Apex was that it was silent and you could hear everything going on. And now all I can hear is their family members cheering in the background and saying individual lines in the background. He's going to get him. You know, watch out for that takedown. Like, I can hear all that stuff, and it's putting me off the Apex, in all honesty. And removing that responsibility to put on a card good enough to sell out an arena has ruined the quality of these cards. And it's going to come July, and people are going to say, wow, this take aged badly. It shouldn't be one month a year. I know July is going to be stacked. I know August is going to be stacked. But I bet you we come back around to September on the fight night cards, and we've got the same problem again. It should be like consistent cards. I don't need 4 cards a month. I'll take 3 cards a month. As long as they're good. I don't need 7 cards in a row week after week after week, because the Apex, we can put on more fights. I don't want more. I want good. Quality over quantity. The oldest adage in the book. I don't want your sloppy, oh, well, you know, he was on the Contender Series. I don't care. Look at these other cards that we're looking at right now. It's actually kind of annoying me. I'm going to go forward into June, and this is a great card. And I'm going to enjoy this card. But as a content creator, I need consistent content. I can't wait out for 2 months to have a content-worthy card. I can't post a Holm versus Vieira in-depth breakdown. I can't post a Santiago Ponzinibbio Mikel Pereira breakdown individually on my channel because it will destroy my algorithm. So I have to be angry on camera to get the algorithm going. I'm looking at Josh Emmett versus Calvin Kattar fight night, and I'm looking on the prelims. Adrian Yanez versus Tony Kelly is on the prelims. But the feature fight in the Apex. Like, before that, Joaquin Buckley, Albert Duraev was on the prelims. Co-main event of one of these cards coming up. Why do we have to have these on the prelims? I get you need to sell out an arena. You've sold it out. You're doing so few of them, it'll sell out. Don't worry. Cody Stamann, Eddie Wineland. Please, can I have that for an Apex card? Rather than having to sit there and act interested by some of these terrible fights that are on the main card. A Contender Series matchup in the co-main event. I don't care. Jeremiah Wells, Court McGee, a feature fight of an Apex card. Please, just bring them over. We don't need to overstack these prelims. I'm seeing prelims of these crowded events, and they've got matchups that would be main event in Apex cards. Like, genuinely, Tim Means, Kevin Holland is a better main event, in my opinion, than Holly Holm versus Ketlin Vieira. They're just abandoning the Apex cards because, people will watch. We don't have to sell out an arena. People will watch. Let them watch. We'll do like 1 arena fight every 2 months and consider ourselves a company. More arenas. The O2 sells out every time you come to London. Come to London every month. We got enough fighters for it. You're putting Jack Shaw on a different card because you can't fit him on the main card of UFC London. Come every month. Now you're going to France. Let's start booking more arenas here. The pressure and the burden and the responsibility to sell out an arena carries the work rate of the company. And now that we've lost that, I feel like we're going to lose quality of the company. I can't be the only one noticing this. Get back to work. The mindset shouldn't be, we love the Apex. We'll always put on fights in the Apex. The Apex should be last resort. It's not even silent anymore. There's an annoying crowd of 20 people speaking individually over the top of everything. It's not even quiet anymore. It's lost its touch. The mindset should be, if you're in the UFC right now at the top of the sport, mindset should be, we need to get out of this Apex. This is holding us back. We need to do whatever we can to speed up the process of getting rid of using the Apex and getting back to crowded events. It's way better. It's lost its touch. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Stop relying on the Apex and feeling comfortable in there. You lazy old men. Get out and start searching for some stadiums. I'm sick of it. Goodbye. See you later.